Hi everybody, it's Alexa here from Pages of Forbidden Love. I actually decided to do a video to show off my Bout books readathon pile this time around. It's a little bit extra, it's better than just posting a picture of it in my opinion. I pulled a lot of books out just because sometimes during readathons I have very eclectic taste and I'm not really sure what I'm ever going to feel like reading at a certain time of day or a certain day or whatever's going on. So I just pulled out a mix of books that I need to read because I really have been dying to read them, or because they're review books or tour books or any of the above and they have to actually get done pretty soon. So first up is actually a review book, Personal Effects. This is supposed to be a story about a boy whose older brother goes off to war and he actually dies serving his country, and then the younger brother doesn't really know what to do about it. He's kind of wondering, you know, if he really died, because, you know, people always have hope that even though sometimes they hear that somebody died or is missing in action or anything like that, that they're actually still alive. So he's kind of trying to find a way that he's going to deal with his brother's death and kind of try and find a way to connect with his brother and let go at the same time. There's been a lot of military stories out lately, which is kind of why I wanted to read this one. I'm not a big military girl. I don't really believe in it, but I thought it would be an interesting topic for me to read about. You know, sometimes you gotta read about things that you don't necessarily love, but actually you might enjoy it if you give it a chance. Next up, another book that I had gotten with Personal Effects is Daylight Savings. This one's supposed to be a story about like a girl who I think it's about a boy though. I think it's a boy and like there's a girl who's dead or something like that, and he keeps seeing her, she keeps seeing him, something like that. Something to kind of do with ghosts and time and just kind of different things like that. I think it's a boy though. Yeah, it's a boy who keeps seeing this girl who's actually dead, and yet he keeps seeing her all over where he's at, and I think it's set in London. So I think the kid has to like keep going back between like London and stuff like that, and that's what the time part comes in. I don't know, I'm not really certain on that one. The description is kind of very vague and doesn't really tell you a whole lot about it, so we're just gonna have to see on that one. Adult romance book that I actually have never read before. This is the first book in the Immortal series by Kresley Cole. I know many people love Kresley Cole, and I haven't read her yet. So this is actually my swap read for Pages of Bookish Love, the feature that I do with Ashley from The Bookish Brunette. So this is what I'm reading for this month, so I need to get this read so that I am prepared for the end of the month when we do our swap read. Another review book, A Fractured Light. This is actually the sequel to A Beautiful Dark. I did like A Beautiful Dark, and it left off on such a cliffhanger that I'm surprised I haven't devoured this one already. So I really, really want to read it and need to read it because it's a review book for September. Another review book that I really can't wait to read is Cursed by Jennifer Armentrout. Now this one comes out in the very beginning of September, I think. Yes, very beginning of September, so I do need to read this one, and I really want to read this one. I have been very hit or miss with Jennifer Armentrout. I love her Half-Blood series, and then I read her Obsidian series, or her Lux series. I've read Obsidian, which is the first book of the Lux series, and I really, really had some big, huge issues with it. It had a lot of things in there that I didn't really care for, so I love one of her series and I don't particularly care for the other one, so I'm really excited to see what this next series of hers is going to do. Is it going to be another hit for me, or is it going to be a complete miss for me, kind of how Obsidian was? So, hopefully, I'm hoping it'll be a hit, because, you know, I'd always rather take my time to read books that are hits. Next book is a book that I actually got at ALA, and I really have just been dying to read this. It was my must-have book at ALA, and it actually is already out. I think the hardcover is already out of this one, and I still haven't read it yet. Just in case you've been living under a rock for maybe the past year and a half, this is the prequel series to the Nightshade series. I loved the Nightshade series. Blood Rose, it was a bit of a disappointment, which was the third book in that series, but I have high hopes that this series is really going to pick up some of the things that maybe didn't go quite so well as I would have hoped in the ending of the Nightshade series, even though this is a prequel series, so it's not like continuing of Nightshade or anything. It's supposed to be before it all happens, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how we got to the utter destruction that happens in the Nightshade series. I know I'm talking a lot about this series. I'm sorry, I just love the Nightshade series, and I love the mature YA feel that Andrea Kramer gives to her books, so I'm really excited to see if she pulled that off in this prequel series. Next up is Eclipse. I know you're never supposed to read very long books for readathons just because they tend to slow you down and it leaves you with maybe a high page count but not a high book count. But I need to read this one because I'm trying to reread this entire series this year, and in order to keep on track I need to read this one this month in order to do my review on it and then a discussion post on it in September, and then I think I'm reading Breaking Dawn for October. So yes, I need to keep on track with this. I don't want to get behind, and I actually really loved New Moon much more than I ever did the first time I read it. So I'm still finding that although many people don't like the Twilight series anymore, or they think that they would never go back and read it because the hype just got way out of control for this series, that I'm actually still in love with this series, even though it's been so long since they first got published and since it kind of turned into the phenomenon that Harry Potter did. So I'm hoping, because I loved Eclipse, it's my favorite book in the series when I first read this series a long time ago, I'm hoping I still love it. Which, considering I loved New Moon, and I really didn't like New Moon the first time I read it, I kind of have high hopes for Eclipse now. And then last book, this is kind of just an extra throw-in book. If I can get some of these other books done, I might start this book. I have Hemlock from the library, and it's due on the 22nd, which is just shortly after the readathon ends. So if I could read the majority of this during the very last day or kind of ending of the readathon, that way I could get it returned to the library on time, that would be awesome. Especially because I really want to read this one. It's supposed to be kind of completely about werewolves. And most of the time werewolves do not get their own stories. They are part of like a creature in a different story. So I'm actually hoping that this is just werewolves, because I'd really like to read a book about just werewolves for once, instead of all the night creatures, you know, vampires and, you know, maybe evil pixies thrown in and all that kind of extra stuff. So I have high hopes for Hemlock. So that is everything I'm trying to read. Like I said, my taste kind of changes daily on what book I'm going to read, so it's very possible that as I get into doing the Bout of Books readathon that I won't be reading any of these books, but they're my pretty set pile here. I'm pretty interested in all of them, so hoping to get as much done as humanly possible. I don't know how many pages that is total, and I can't really say how many pages I'm going to read per day. I'm going to hopefully try and read probably at least 250 pages a day, which hopefully would get me like 4 or 5 of these books done at the end of 7 days of reading that many pages. So we're just going to have to see how many I can get done. If you have a goalpost, well, most of you do because you're participating in Bout of Books, so you had to have a goalpost to kind of start yourself off here. Just link me below or leave me a comment and I'll come check out your pile, and everybody have a good readathon, and be sure to stop back here on Friday because I am hosting one of the challenges along with a great giveaway. I'll see you guys then. Bye everybody.